A conflict that's been simmering for years in the Middle East just found a brand new and frankly terrifying battleground: the world's energy supply. A series of calculated strikes has sent shockwaves way beyond the region, and it's put the entire global economy on notice. So what on earth just happened?
How did we get here so fast? I mean, really, how did one single military action, one that some people actually thought would de-escalate things,
somehow end up putting the entire planet's energy supply at risk? To really get that, we've got to rewind and look at the one event that kicked this whole thing off.
Okay, so this is where it all took a sharp, dramatic turn. Israel, in a move that really caught a lot of people off guard, directly attacked a natural gas facility deep inside Iran. Now, this wasn't just another military strike. No, this was an attack on the economic heart of the entire nation.
Just take a look at this timeline. It shows you exactly how fast things spiraled. One strike leads to Iran completely reframing the conflict, which then unleashes this wave of retaliation against critical energy hubs all across the Gulf. It was a domino effect, and it happened so fast that global powers were just left scrambling to figure out what was going on.
And this whole thing seems to have started with a massive miscalculation. It seems like both Israel and the United States figured that after years of sanctions and pressure, Iran's will was basically broken. They thought the motivation to hit back would be low, and they got it completely wrong.
Almost immediately after that attack, Iran's leadership did something incredibly smart, strategically speaking. They completely shifted the narrative. They moved it away from geopolitics and framed the whole thing as a fight for Muslims, a religious cause. Suddenly, this wasn't about borders or oil anymore. It was about faith. And that one move was designed to rally support from all over and to justify a massive, unprecedented response.
And that reframing, well, that set the stage for Iran's dramatic and devastating counterattack. The gloves were officially off.
This slide really lays out just how calculated Iran's retaliation was. As you can see, they didn't just hit back. They aimed straight for the jugular of the global energy market. They targeted these massive liquefied natural gas or LNG facilities. These are the places that supercool natural gas into a liquid so it can be shipped all over the world. By hitting one of the world's largest in Qatar, plus 2 more in the UAE, Iran was sending a very clear message. And in a really chilling move, the Iranian embassy gave its own officials a 24-hour warning to get out of Qatar, basically signaling an attack was coming.
Right then and there, this stopped being just a regional skirmish. The attacks on Qatar and the UAE sent these immediate, powerful shockwaves all through the global economy.
And here's the crucial point. The real-world impact was felt instantly. All of a sudden, countries thousands of miles away were caught in the crossfire. A third of all Asian nations were suddenly facing a major disruption to their energy supply. This wasn't their problem anymore. It was everyone's problem.
And the experts watching this whole thing unfold, they were all pretty much in agreement. As one analyst put it, this was a massive misstep that completely changed the dynamics of the war, escalating it to a level that, honestly, nobody was ready for.
So as the world is scrambling to react, the United States, which is Israel's key ally, makes this stunning pivot. It starts with a huge change in their public messaging. The shift was, well, it was jarring. Not long before, the message from the U.S., delivered by Donald Trump, was all about needing to neutralize Iran. And now, that same voice was calling its own allies' action a violent act that was done out of anger, a mistake that the U.S. had absolutely nothing to do with.
This pivot, of course, immediately raised a massive question. The U.S. had been boasting that its intelligence knew every single move Iran was making. So how could it now claim to be completely in the dark about its closest allies' plan to strike a major gas facility? The story just wasn't adding up. So in an attempt to try and grab control of this spiraling crisis, Donald Trump then delivered this direct and deeply contradictory message to Iran. It was one part promise and one part threat.
First came the assurance. He actually promised that Israel would not attack Iran's energy infrastructure again, and that he personally would take responsibility for making sure they were safe. It kind of sounded like an attempt to de-escalate, right?
But then, in the very next breath came this raw threat. He warned, if you attack Qatar again, the U.S. will finish the job Israel started and destroy Iran's entire gas facility. It was basically an offer to de-escalate that was backed by a threat of total annihilation, a contradiction that sources say is only going to make things worse.
And maybe the biggest tragedy in all of this is just the timing. It turns out that just 24 hours, a single day before the Israeli strike lit this fuse,
Iran had signaled it was open for negotiation. There was a potential off-ramp, a chance for dialogue. And in an instant, it was just incinerated.
And so, that's where we're left. We're in a new, much more dangerous phase of this conflict, and it's being fought not over land, but over the very energy that powers our world. The path to negotiation, which was just opening up, is now blocked. And that leaves us with a critical, and honestly a deeply unsettling question. With threats now replacing talks, is there any path back from the brink?